Hey guys, welcome back to CALLOUS Invitational 3, Round 2 lower bracket action. Jimmy Turtwig, Cowboy Dan, and defending champion Cowboy Dan has his back against the wall. He is down in this set to Jimmy 1-0 and needs to win this game and another game in order to not simply be eliminated 0-2 after winning the entire tournament last year. We'll see if he can do that. Here is game 2 between them, and we are going to switch the sides. Dan is on the bottom on his Little Johnny Jewel alt that he used last year and on ladder and a number of other places. Jimmy's on top. It's a Heracross lead against a Zapdos. Neither player likes the matchup, and it's a switch and a BP respectively. And it ends with T-Tower coming in on Snorlax, setting up immediate sand to hurt its bulk and to threaten it with a physical attack, but he goes Gengar just in case as a Boomer and Earthquake. Neither one comes, and we end up with Gengar on Swampert here. Advantage Gengar, who probably gets a free Will-O-Wisp off this turn. Very interesting that Metagross is going to switch into Will-O-Wisp. I really don't know about that. I mean, he's got Lum apparently, that's fine. But that seems sketchy that he would let that happen. Jimmy could just stay in Will-O-Wisp again, but he might not risk it. He goes back to Zapdos here, unwilling to take the risk. Meteor Mash comes down, does a third. Sand is in play, so Zapdos will not be able to live more than 2 more of those. And Lax is going to come in at this point. Thunderbolt, 32% here, nice chunk. I'm surprised that Heracross didn't switch into the obvious Will-O-Wisp turn. Maybe it has Swarm as opposed to Guts. Or maybe he was just afraid that it would end up doing something other than WoW, but I thought that was an obvious WoW turn from Jimmy that maybe could have been capitalized on by Dan. His Lax goes Body Slam here. Does not find Para, but we do discover that T-Tower has lefties for Jimmy. He's going to go Focus Punch. Swampert going to be on the bad end of that. We already know that it's not Choice Banded, but he's going to get a critical hit anyway for 97%, which is a massive chunk of damage. That was a very important crit, and man, things from bad to worse for Dan. After he's on the bad end of a critical hit, he subsequently misses the Torrent Range Hydro Pump that would have devastated, possibly killed the Tyranitar, and Dan loses his Swampert essentially for free. That's really, really bad. He does get a follow-up Megahorn Revenge kill for the one-hit KO, but it's going to go from bad to worse. It was 5-5 briefly, but of course, Jimmy's got a Dugtrio. Dan has got to be kicking himself right now. Not that he did anything wrong. He just cannot catch a break. And Dan is going to fall behind 5-4 and not be in a good position right now. Here comes Swampert. There's an Agilogross for Dan. I don't know how that breaks Swampert without HP Grass, which is not seen on Agilogross ever, so that seems unlikely. He goes straight Boom. Huge damage on Jirachi, 96%. Doesn't kill, but it does a ton. And now Zapdos comes in, previously unrevealed for Cowboy Dan. He still has one unrevealed poke in the back as well. Thunderbolt, good enough, catches him up a little bit. He is still behind, 4-3 here. Zapdos is the follow-up for Jimmy. The faster one belongs to Jimmy, it looks like, based on the sand, unless it is a speed tie. But the healthier one belongs to Dan. Doesn't like the matchup anyway. Goes to Lax. Thunder Wave happens here. Lax is going to be paralyzed. Dan has had real bad luck with paralyzed Lax in this tour. The speed reduction doesn't matter, but full para certainly seems to. There is Thunderbolt and Shadow Ball, respectively, thinking Gengar might come in. It doesn't, but Shadow Ball will be enough should it connect here to kill the Zapdos, assuming it doesn't rest, which it doesn't. There's a Thunderbolt, and there is a Self-Destruct, which luckily does not meet the Gengar, so it's just going to be a trade, and we've got ourselves a 3-2 situation. Dan is willing at this point to show his last poke. It is T-Tar. It is immediately met by Dugtrio, and it is immediately hit with an Earthquake critical hit, which may or may not have mattered depending on the sets, but down it goes immediately. And Dan has only Zapdos left against 3 Pokemon from Jimmy. He's going to need Hidden Power Grass to have any chance in hell here, and he does have it, so there is a slim chance that Dan can win here if Dugtrio were to miss its Rock Slide, or if Zapdos were to immediately crit the Gengar, but I think that still requires a Rock Slide miss. Here comes Dugtrio. Zapdos here is going to have to dodge Rock Slide and then get him with Hidden Power. What, Zapdos is faster? I don't know what's up with that. That's going to be a really, really fast Zapdos and an Adamant Dugtrio. I can't believe Zapdos is faster here. So actually, he only needed one rock slide miss, or a critical hit would have bailed him out of it. But neither of those occurred, so unless he's also somehow faster than Gengar, and even then he would still need a critical hit, Dan is still dead here, and based on the sand, we see that Gengar is faster. He gets the Ice Punch off. That's the knockout, and that's the 1-0 game win and the 2-0 series win for Jimmy Turtwig. And a huge upset, not necessarily in this match, but with the overall result. This is the worst that I would think any defending champion is ever going to do in any CALLOUS Invitational. This is highly improbable. Dan has made two very deep runs in both of the previous editions, but in this one, it is simply not his day or his tour. Defending champion Cowboy Dan, who a lot of people thought would run deep again, is going to be eliminated 0-2 from CALLOUS Invitational 3 by Jimmy Turtwig. Congrats to Jimmy on a well-played set. The big story here is Dan, like I said, because he's the defending champ, but Jimmy played well and didn't do anything wrong. He played a tight set. He brought good teams. Jimmy looks like a player who could do some damage in the lower bracket, so I take absolutely nothing away from him, but Dan just could not catch a break, it feels like, in either round. And this is a very disappointing exit for him, and something that the fans are going to be surprised about and maybe a little bit upset about, and I don't blame them, but this tour just was not kind to Dan, and he's going to be out. So we're going to have a new champion of CALLOUS Invitational. I don't know who that's going to be, but there won't be a repeat. Still a lot of tournament to come, and I hope you guys stick around and enjoy it. In the meantime, give me a thumbs up on this video, and I'll see you guys soon for more content.